Hello and welcome to Questions in Quarantine, where I'll be speaking to different people from different professions, interviewing them on their experience on lockdown here in the UK. Each week I'll be challenging my guests to the 2 minutes in lockdown challenge, where they'll have to answer 4 questions in a time span of 2 minutes. So this week I have got a mother of 3, Michelle Robinson, and also Olympian. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell everybody a little bit about you before we go into our challenge.
Like you said at the opening, I'm a mother of 3, 2 girls and a boy. Been married to my husband Matt for 18 years, and I met Matthew at the Commonwealth Games in 2002. I've been married for 15 years. I beg your pardon before he interrupts me. And I met him at the Commonwealth Games in a dining hall, and as they say, the rest is history.
Oh, fantastic. And is he an athlete too?
Yeah, Matthew was a former rugby player for Wales. So, yes, it was a match made in heaven, as they say.
Oh, pardon the pun.
Excuse the pun there.
Fantastic. Well, let's find out a little bit more about you and your successes after. But let's get this challenge out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with everybody, and then we will get started on our challenge. Okay, here we go. Right. So are you ready, Michelle?
Oh my gosh, I'm so competitive. Yes, I'm more than ready. Got to get this in 2 minutes. Oh my gosh.
Would be the quickest 2 minutes ever.
Telling you.
Oh dear. Right, okay, let's get started then. So, what have you been doing, Michelle, to keep sane and manage your well-being during this time in lockdown in the UK?
I've been training several people online during this time in lockdown. As a personal trainer, I've been training several people online and doing some life coaching as well. And it's been great. I've been giving, and it's been fantastic for my well-being. Oh,
fantastic. Giving back actually does really help us with our well-being, doesn't it? So that's amazing.
Absolutely.
Find out a bit more about that in a second. Okay, so lots of learnings. What have you learned about yourself, though, in this time of isolation?
I think the biggest thing I've learned about myself was I'm very, very close to my mum, who is my role model, my inspiration. And I live in Devon, my mum lives in London. And the fact of it's probably going to be the second longest time, God willing, that I haven't seen my mum for months and months on end. The last time was when I lived in the Middle East. So learning that I can cope via social media to keep in contact with my mum has been a big learning curve for me and my mum, I should say.
Yeah, and thank goodness for that we have got that social media.
Oh, God, I tell you, it makes such a difference. Absolutely, Sharon.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, so based on your professional experience as sort of an athlete and a successful sort of PT, can you share a little bit of advice or a tip for those watching, families and young people, parents, that might help them at the moment?
I think for young people and parents at the moment, I would say having an agenda. So I'm in a house of teenagers. And even those, I encourage them to have an agenda, very lucid and very flexible with it, not something as strict as, oh, you've got to do this. So work out from them, ask them the questions, guys, what do you guys want to do tomorrow? And try and navigate it around that way rather than just telling, to avoid any arguments and everything else that can happen naturally. So it's about, my one tip would be, allow them to have a voice and, have the unity that we need.
So important, isn't it? So important. Well, Michelle, we've actually got one more question, which I'm going to get you to answer anyway, because I think it's a really important one. Okay. So this is my favourite question, actually. So as in all the best questions. We've started, so we'll finish.
Okay, love that.
What's the one thing that you are going to miss when we get back to the new normal? And what's the first thing that you're going to do when life returns to normal?
I can honestly say, this hand on my heart, the one thing I'm going to miss when life gets back to normal is having the every single day dinners with my family. It's, we take it for granted all the time, Generally, if I'm being honest, and I'm sure I speak for many families around the UK who have got active, busy children, you're generally talking, twice a week that we'll sit down for dinners, and that'll be like a Wednesday and a Sunday. Since this lockdown's been happening, we've sat down 7 nights, and it's been really, really beautiful. It's been lovely. In fact, we started a tally. So by the end of the lockdown, we've called it the Lockdown Tally Dinners. So it'd be interesting to share that on our media after that.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, just goes to show you. And the first thing that I will do when life returns to normal will be, I will jump in my car to go and see my mother, who's got a really big birthday coming up. I'm sure I'll be a few months afterwards, but it's my mother's 80th on the 21st of April, and I'll be driving down to see my mummy.
Oh wow! Well, happy birthday to your mum in April. Gosh, that must feel quite hard not being able to be there, I should think.
Very hard when we had everything planned and sorted. But you know what? It is what it is. Once she stays safe, we'll celebrate another 80 days and fingers crossed, you know, from there after that.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely, for sure. Brilliant. Well, well done. Let's find out a little bit more about you then. So I know that you're Olympian, and I know obviously that you met your husband at the Commonwealth Games. So let's rewind a little bit. Tell me a little bit about that. And also, you did mention that you're now personal training and also a coach. So you know, tell us a little bit about what you won your medal for and the Olympian side of things, and then how you moved into PT.
Yeah, I will do, sure. So I started athletics at 11 years old, and it was literally, I share this story a lot. I was at the track with my mother, and it was a one way to me to get away from my brothers. So to get away from my brother, mum said, you've got to come on the running track. There's no one to look after me. It was a Sunday morning. I come from Wembley, by the very famous Wembley Stadium. And it cost £1 to join the club. And my mum still says today, that's the best pound she's ever invested, because that was the start of my journey.
Wow.
So I was at Wembley, a club down there, and that's actually where I met Dame Kelly Holmes as well, because Kelly was a few years older than me. So we was at the same running club when I was 15.
Michelle, she won't thank you for saying that.
She was same running club as me. Me and Kel go way back well. And she's a couple of years older than me too. You can't change that. You can't change that. So, you know, from that I got into athletics. I was very lucky that I had a talent, and it was founded very early on from my school teacher. And then I went on to represent Great Britain and Northern Ireland at the Olympic Games, World Championships, Commonwealth Games, European Championships. And fortunately enough, like I said earlier on, I met my husband at the 2002 Commonwealth Games as well, where I was competing in the triple jump. So in terms of medals, I was 4th in the Commonwealth Games. So I've never won any major championship medals, but of course I've won the national title over 10 times. And I was the first woman ever in the Commonwealth to jump over 14 metres for the triple jump as well.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm proud of that one.
Wow, yeah, you should be absolutely proud of it. Incredible, you know, and you know, just sort of, you know, when we had the Olympics here in 2012, obviously it was heightened, wasn't it? Sort of with all our athletes, and I think that allowed sort of like the everyday person like myself to start to appreciate how much grit and determination and dedication and I say sacrifice that you athletes actually put in.
Absolutely. I mean, sacrifice is one of the main words. You know, when you look at your current athletes now, like your Dina Asher-Smiths and your Adam Jamili, you know, these guys don't just get up in the morning and just say that's the session for the day. Everything about their life is consumed with being the very best they can be. And we use that word, you hear that strapline quite a lot, being the very best you can be. And I mean, they are having to be the very best they can be. So during this lockdown, which is a good example, they're still finding ways to be creative without not going to the track, maybe not seeing their coach. They're having to really motivate themselves as well and keep their eye on the prize for 2021 Olympic Games now.
Yeah, and that will certainly sort of show those that are focused and dedicated to be able to move through this, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how did you move into personal training then?
Quite an easy one. In 1999, I was getting some form of funding from the National Lottery and Sport England, and I got my funding cut. So myself and my best friend Caroline said, let's start a personal training course. And we did. We went on our personal training course for a week. It was a week, like saturated with it. And from that, and that's 21 years ago, I got into personal training. I had the great success and luck, I should say, of being able to say I trained Mel B for 2.5 years from the Spice Girls. So, and then I got into magazines, I got articles. And then in 2009, I went into mentoring. And then over the last 4 or 5 years, I've gone into coaching. So, you know, my life is all about, you know, bringing out the very best in people and unlocking their true potential and recognizing that we do all go through challenges, but it's about trying to move forward as best as we can. So, you know, I amalgamate my life around life coaching, mentoring and personal training. So well-being is always, you know, well-being is one of my main things that I focus on, because I think we need to be well-beings, you know.
Yeah, as opposed to well-doings.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen some of your stuff on social media, your training and stuff like that. And you still work yourself incredibly hard, don't you?
Yeah, I factored that into my life, and this is, obviously way before lockdown. It's something that I do as a family. We kind of call ourselves the Fit Family Robinsons or the Active Family Robinsons, because it's something that me and my husband and the kids enjoy. Naturally, without not being big-headed, they're naturally sporty, but also as well they understand the benefits of feeling good about themselves. So we try and train, and we kind of role model all the time. If we train, why not joining as a family? So even the 6-year-old's down there doing press ups and doing stuff, so he's going to be like a little Hulk by the time he's 10 years old. So it's something that we do pride ourselves on.
That's incredibly important, isn't it? For young people to be focused in looking after themselves as well as they can. I mean, obviously not
Absolutely.
everybody is going to be a professional athlete, but we can all focus on it. Sounds like what you're saying is, it's really important for everybody to keep fit and healthy, not just for their physical well-being, but their mental well-being as well.
Yeah, I won't be on my people around here, whether they're doing it at a professional level or at grassroots level. Just being active, helps the endorphins, and helps us and really pushes young people to show their best selves, rather than being locked in a room and not doing anything. Get out, get a bit of fresh air, kick a football around, go back to a big bit of the days, and I'm sorry to say it, back into our days, in the 70s, 80s, when we would go outside and play out all day. Go and play a bit of cricket, have a bit of fun. Obviously right now you can only play it within your family during the lockdown period, but outside of that, keep going, keep doing something. And it doesn't have to be at an international Olympic level. It just means to be sport participation on any level. And that's one thing that I do endorse and encourage. Sport participation on any level makes such a big difference to somebody's well-being and their mental state.
Absolutely. And as you say, it's about just being the best that we can be, isn't it? So that we can go to bed at night and think, do you know what? I did my best today.
Absolutely. And I think as long as you give your best every day to yourself, and actually, I'm going to say some days your best might be just at 80%. That's also okay, because that's your best for that day. And nobody's here to judge you, but just keep yourself as busy as you can. And I spoke a lot at the top of the conversation about giving. Also as well, the more that you can give to somebody else, you might say to a mate, come on, let's go and kick a ball about. You never know what helping that young person or your friend out, what that's doing for their well-being. You'll be surprised.
Yeah, such good advice. And as an athlete and as a PT and as a coach, you've been talking about sort of inspiring, and you obviously inspire your children to be the best that they can be, and your husband as well. So who inspires you, or what inspires you, and why?
I'll say this without not being emotional. My mother has always been my inspiration. My mother was, quite apt saying this now. She did 45 years National Health Service as a ward sister, midwife, and a social worker. And I'm proud to say that my whole life, my whole journey has been inspired by my mother. Seeing her come from Jamaica as a 21-year-old young girl, and trained herself up. She's got 2 degrees, one in social policy. She's got a business degree as well. She's worked really hard. And she's done it, I'm going to say she's done it with a smile on her face. She loves giving to people. So my inspiration is to be my mum, not to be my mum, to be as good a mommy as my mum's been to me and my brothers.
Wow. Gosh, that is really inspiring as well. And that's sort of something that, I'm a parent as well. And
Sure.
If my 2 boys said just half of that about me, I'd be well chuffed, So that's a really lovely thing to say. Really lovely.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean it wholeheartedly. Mean it wholeheartedly.
Yeah, that's lovely. So where success is concerned, obviously it sounds like success for you is something that, drives you forward, and, you're constantly wanting to be the best that you can be, both as a professional athlete and now as a professional PT and coach. So, when it comes to success, for any sort of young people, or also success maybe in whatever avenue, success as a parent, what would your tips be for success?
Success is measuring it against yourself. So I often say to people when I go into schools and I do motivational talks, I say to them, I'm not an Olympic champion. I'm not an Olympic medalist. I'm Michelle Griffith Robinson, who came from Wembley, who did my best. That success to me is Michelle who did her best. So measuring success is against myself. not against others. And sometimes in this world, young people can get caught up in what they see on social media, what they see their friends wearing, what they see their friends doing. Success is doing your very best in what you are good at. And I can be honest, and my husband will be here championing me, saying, my wife is brilliant in so many things, but when it comes to computers, she's not so good. But that's also okay. Yeah. That's also okay. Success is measured however you choose to measure it. So success for me isn't having the big house, the big, fast, flashy car. Success is going to bed every night and feeling content. Yeah, success for me is when I turned 40 a few years ago, waking up and looking at my husband and my 2 kids. That was my achievement. That was success for me. Now I've got 3 children. That's success for me, because I know not everybody's had that privilege to have that, and we take it for granted, but not everybody has that privilege to have that and to feel secure in what they've got.
That's so true, so true. And I think that word sort of success is such a subjective word, isn't it? You know,
absolutely.
And in this time of social media and instant gratification, I think sometimes we can really forget that message, Michelle, and how important it is coming together.
Absolutely.
It's so lovely hearing you sort of, you know, the importance of family generally, and also, you know, like with your mum, it just sort of shines through you. You know, you can really hear how passionate you are about your family and everything else, you know. So that sort of, for me, is really inspiring to hear. And I'm guessing that filters down to your kids as well.
Yeah, and I think when you've got that, your kids then generally feel more secure. You know, and that's not, like I said again, you know, it's not with having all the flashy stuff or having money in abundance. It's about having that love and security in the family home, and whatever that family home may be for you.
Fantastic. That glue that holds us all together, isn't it? Brilliant.
Absolutely. Which we're now having to draw on more and more. Now we're in lockdown.
We are, absolutely. So just before we sort of finish, and I just find out how people can sort of start following you on social media and stuff.
Sure.
We're obviously we're into lockdown. You know, there are still things that we can do to connect, and that's sort of, you know, sort of getting out there and you know, trying to be as active as we can in the limited time and space that we've got. However, what do you think might come out of this that's positive overall this time in lockdown?
I think the positive things that are going to come out of this time in lockdown is definitely going to be the key skill sets of what actually matters, drawing the key skill sets of an individual, for one. So being creative as an individual, for example. Another thing, as a family, you're going to then realize actually what's important is the family, the togetherness, recognizing that you have to compromise within families much more than normal, where you could just slam the door and go off to school. Yeah, you're going to have to learn to compromise. I think that's the thing that's going to come out of it. And the spending, you know, Sharon, the spending is going to be, actually, do we really need that? And that's talking to me, who loves fashion, clothes, shoes is my thing. You know, 3 things: fashion, food and fitness is what one of my friends described me as. I love food, I love fashion, I love fitness. 2 of the things I can have, food and fitness. Fashion I can't have, and what's the point in having all these nice things that you can't wear, you can't get to show? And this taught me, actually, I don't need more than what I've got upstairs right now. And I think that's something that, you know, I feel very strongly about. And for me, who loves spending, you know, it's made me think, actually, what do we really need? And I think for a lot of people, it's going to actually make them a bit more humble, You're going to go back to humble beginnings. Recognize me, my husband looked in the fridge today. I spent £271 on food shopping 8 days ago. He said, Mish, you say we have nothing. Yes, we have. We might not have what we don't normally have. You might not have this and this in abundance, your avocados, just blueberries, your raspberries, but you can't say we got nothing.
Yeah, no, it's so
true.
I
think that in itself.
So it's such an important message, message. Really lovely. I could chat to you all day, and I think when we first met, I think you'd been shopping that day, actually. You were out with some friends that evening. You were going to catch some friends in London.
That's right, Sharon. Great memory. That's exactly right. So I do miss my friends in London. I do miss seeing them, but we kept it going. And every Wednesday, every Monday and Friday, I should say, I'm training them on FaceTime, on Zoom as well. So I'm training them, I'm keeping them inspired as much as I can. And that's our connectivity as well. So I say to people out there listening, connect with people. Not everybody's as fortunate as others. Look out for others. You know, it's not just, you know, I've got a brother that lives on his own in London. I rang him this morning and said, if there's anything you need, just let me know and I'll do my best. I said, because also you've got to look out for others that are isolated on their own at home.
Oh gosh, absolutely. And there are more people who are isolated than we give credit to, I think, actually, as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Michelle, I could chat to you all day. I really wish we had more time. But how can people find you and follow all your fantastic fitness stuff online? Have you got a website? Have you got, you know, some social media?
Yeah, so I'm at Tallmish on Twitter. I use Twitter quite a lot. I'm Michelle Griffith Robinson on Instagram and Michelle Amanda Robinson on Facebook. And they can find me on my website, which is michellegriffithrobinson.co.uk. And actually, my website is it's on there already, but we're developing a new one because I've had the time to sit down and develop a new one as well. So that's really good too. So, you know, thank you, Sharon, for the opportunity to share a little bit of.
Thank you for coming along. I know you're really, really busy. Have you got any new sort of exciting things coming up in the pipeline?
Yeah, I have got a few things coming up in the pipeline. I'm just in talks now to do some stuff abroad, some active family stuff to engage some families abroad in the Middle East. So fingers crossed that comes to fruition as well. So, but yeah, keeping myself busy. And, you know, I say to everybody, you'll be surprised what you can create from nothing.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely inspiring, Michelle, really inspiring.
Well,
thank you so much. And thank you for coming into my virtual coffee shop.
I love it.
And maybe one day we'll be able to have a coffee again in person like we did back in London that time.
Absolutely. Amen. Amen.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You keep safe and thank you so much.
Cheers, my lovely. Thank you.
See you later. Bye for now.